Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for being here. I hope this finds you in good health and secure. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Indeed. We are, finally got my hard copy from Lulu. It's a small book, but it's important. Subject that we need to talk about more amongst ourselves, the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment of life. Again, the point being not the number 3,000, not the excellent mathematics of 10 worlds, 10 within the 10, each world having the 10, each with its own factors, and each throughout the three factors of the mechanisms, the engine of life. Yes, it's great to multiply all those numbers, but that's not the point. The point, as I tried to illustrate in the last video, is that we can't measure a moment. There's limitations to what our human mind can perceive. And unfortunately, those very limitations are the reasons we latch on to things. And that latching on is what creates our stress and anxiety. So there it is. The quest is not to become a better identifier of more and more things in minute quantity. It's simply to realize that the mind and its actions are so vast that it's not that they're not important. It's critically important. It is the way the engine works for life to exist, yeah? The question is to point out how ridiculous it is for us to invest so much of our energies into maintaining something that is so far away from the formations of it. Right? I mean, that's the whole point of illustrating this. This is why when we chant, we have a mandala, we try to penetrate the Buddhist goal, the Buddha mind, the Gohonzon mind. It's a sort of a pulling back. Yeah, I'm all obsessed about this stuff. Oh, me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really not where my focus should be. My focus should be on a much bigger picture. And when I do that, things don't seem so immediate, so critical. Right? So now I've included in this book, it's one of my least favorite writings of Nichiren, not because it's a criticism of Nichiren in any way, but I include it in here because we need to recognize, I think, that Nichiren, in his own way, in the span of his life and his teachings and his enlightenment, had to contend with the people of his day and their very entrenched thinking, right? That come from thousands of years of cultural habit. Just like Shakyamuni had to deal with the vast array of Hindu variations on Brahmanism and Brahmin thinking and Brahmin influence and elites and castes. It drove him nuts. It's part of what drove him to find a much better answer. So the title of this one is On Consecrating an Image of Shakyamuni Buddha Made by Shijo Kingo. And I think one of the main drivers for him, Nichiren, even addressing this topic is because Shijo Kingo was such a valuable friend. I mean valuable, life and death kind of friend. Yeah, Nichiren felt a strong debt of gratitude to Shijo Kingo. So, when his wife, Shijo Kingo's, or Shijo himself, asked about the consecration of a statue or an image of Shakyamuni, for instance, Nichiren didn't want to say outright, you stupid, this investment in things, and Shakyamuni said, don't make images of me. It's not about me, right? Lotus Sutra, lifespan chapter. It ain't me, friends. It's Buddha-ness. It's something already within you. So the idea of making some thing, some image, some representation of a person, right? Follow the law, not the person. A person to act as your conduit, it's antithetical to Buddhism. And yet this is an idea that's followed humankind. We still do it. We still do it. Don't kid yourself. When you were a kid and you got that little trophy for your participation, hopefully it meant more than that. Ugh. Everybody's special. But you got a trophy for, I got a trophy for draftsmanship in a contest that I entered, a football trophy, whatever it is. Right? Every time we pass it on the shelf, we have this series of attached emotions that we give it to, right? And oddly enough, it's never pride. There might be a section that's pride, but most of it's like, I could have done better. Or, why didn't I get first? Or blah, blah, blah. Ribbons, same thing. We have these talismans that we want to imbue the value of our own lives into. That's so not Buddhist. And yet, Nichiren's going to compassionately talk to Shijo Kingo. And I suspect, and that's another reason why I put it in here, this is one of the reasons Nichiren really recognized that as human beings, we need something to mirror ourselves, our better selves in. We need that conduit. Our goal as conduit is mental. The Gohanzon is a mental conduit to Buddha-ness, yeah? But we need something physical, because we are physical. So if we're going to have something physical, what should it be? And I think it's this kind of question and answer that I'm sure motivated Nichiren to create the mandala. His early mandalas, very simple mandalas, addressing certain persons' needs in their practice, always with Namo Myoho Renge Kyo down the center. That he nailed early on. But the other stuff around it, it took years to evolve into his aha. That it is the Lotus Sutra. Yeah. I don't need to imagine this creation. It's already there. It's the Lotus. I just need to capture the concepts in the Lotus Sutra, put them on a piece of paper so that we can distract our monkey mind and get us to go Hanzon. So here, this is what you consecrate. Yeah? This is the greatest mandala, because it's not about the mandala. And, in fairness, even though they're making images and statues of bodhisattvas and Shakyamuni, it just lost a bunch of frames. I don't know what to do. Anyway, the goal was, when practicing with these images, to reach through that image, that statue, that enlightenment. But it's really, it's not a good trick, because invariably you're trying to find enlightenment through the beauty of the image. It's just it's mixed messaging. It's a foible. The mandala, with its abstraction, at least breaks us free of what's our primary attachment is visual. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. In your daily records, you write that you've fashioned a wooden image of Shakyamuni Buddha. Let's put in the effort, yeah? With regard to the eye-opening ceremony appropriate for such statues, or the Universal Worthy Sutra states, quote, "This great vehicle sutra is the treasure storehouse of the Buddhas." Do you see why I think this leads to the mandala? The eye of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 existences, end quote. It also says, quote, "This correct and equal sutra is the eye of the Buddhas. It is through this sutra that the Buddhas are able to acquire the 5 types of vision." Always it references the sutra, yeah? Not the image or the statue. Shakyamuni would have just tossed that aside outright. Concerning the phrase, quote, "acquire the 5 types of vision," end quote, in this sutra, this refers to the physical eyes, the heavenly eye, the wisdom eye, the Dharma eye, and the Buddha eye. These different aspects of sight, vision, mental, not physical. Buddhism is about the mind, yeah? These 5 types of vision are naturally acquired by one who upholds the Lotus Sutra. Just as the person who becomes the ruler of a state will naturally be obeyed by all the people of that state, or as the Lord of the great ocean will, as a matter of course, be followed by the fish who dwell there. The flower garland, the agama, the correct and equal, the wisdom, the Mahavarachana sutras, may possess 5 types of vision in name, but they do not possess them in reality. They have it in words, but they don't inculcate it in the mind, yeah? With regard to the 3 bodies of the Buddha, the Universal Worthy Sutra says, quote, "A Buddha's 3 types of bodies are born from this correct and equal sutra, which is the great seal of the law that assures entry into the sea of nirvana. It is from this sea that a Buddha's 3 types of pure bodies are born. These 3 types of bodies are fields of good fortune for human and heavenly beings, and are highest among those of worthy alms," or among those worthy of alms, your support. These 3 bodies are as follows: the Dharma body of the Thus Come One. Second, the reward body of a Thus Come One. And third, the manifested body of a Thus Come One. We've talked about these a lot, right? These 3 types of bodies of a Thus Come One are invariably possessed by all Buddhas, because a Buddha is a Thus Come One. When you are enlightened, when you awaken your mind, you are thusly come one. The one great vehicle, the engine of life, yeah? If we use the moon as an illustration, we may say that the moon itself is comparable to the Dharma body, its light to the reward body, and its reflection to the manifested body. Just as a single moon has these 3 different aspects, so a single Buddha possesses the virtues of these 3 different bodies. Right, we've talked about that. The beingness of the emergent mind, our consciousness of the emergent mind, our awareness, our perception, what we perceive, and the manifestation, the aha, the renge of that perception. Those are the three bodies, yeah? These doctrines of the 5 types of vision and the 3 bodies are not expounded anywhere outside of the Lotus Sutra. Therefore, the great teacher Tendai has said, quote, "The Buddha consistently possesses the 3 bodies throughout the 3 existences, but in the various teachings, he kept this secret and did not transmit it," end quote. In this passage of the commentary, the phrase, quote, "in the various teachings," end quote, refers not only to the flower garland, the correct and equal, and wisdom sutras, but to all sutras other than the Lotus Sutra. And the phrase, "he kept this secret and did not transmit it," means that throughout the entire body of scriptures outside, or the teaching text outside of the lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of Teachings, concealed and avoided expounding it. Therefore, in performing the eye-opening ceremony for painted or wooden Buddha images, the only authority to rely on is the Lotus Sutra and the Tendai school. So let's unpack that a little bit. Not only do we see justification here for the mandala and the way Nichiren constructed it, but he's saying that if you're going to consecrate something and perform the eye-opening ceremony, what do we do when we perform the eye-opening ceremony? Do you remember? We do gangyo, a full gangyo, an abbreviated gangyo. We recite the Hoben and Juryo chapters. We perform the meditations. We introduce our mandala to our Buddha mind. That's what the eye-opening ceremony is about. Not the mandala, but our ownership, because we're samsaric beings, of our Gohonzon, mind, our portal to Buddha-ness. And because the mandala is the essential teachings within the Lotus Sutra, all of it, the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra. That's why the main characters in the center are the Lotus Sutra, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, the law. We associate a nicely enshrined, respectful altar of focus, samsaric as it is. We lock it in, we associate it not with la 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 la, but our particular Gohonzon, our freight train of karma, right? What is on my face? So our particular Gohonzon portal to Buddha-ness, we commit through the Lotus Sutra, through the 3 bodies of our existence, to this object to act as a reflector, a constant reminder. We connect our samsaric existence, bing, to our Buddha-ness existence, yeah? So in that way, this mandala becomes imbued with our effort, our commitment, our determination. The mandala isn't magical. That mandala doesn't accomplish anything but focus our mind on itself. That's where Gohonzon is. It's our mind's ability to perceive outside the limitations of this physicalness, to understand suchness and therefore Buddha-ness. It's not that everything is, it's at everything is ising. Perceiving that, knowing that, inculcating that into our experience day to day, moment to moment. It's very, very shifting of our paradigm, of our constant wanting to possess, own, maintain, ego, self. If everything is constantly momentum, moving, then to grasp it is, it's like, you ever been traveling in a vehicle, car, truck, whatever, open the window. Have you ever thought in your mind, what if I just grab that as we go by it? You know, people who've performed vandalism, like trying to hit mailboxes and stuff, they learn pretty quick, get broken arms. Yeah. Oh, gee, if I try to grasp something and we're moving, I'm likely to get injured badly. Unfortunately, there is no, or maybe fortunately, there is no injury per se, physically, by hanging on to the things we grasp in life. But mentally we're injured. That's what suffering is. It's what Shakyamuni identified as the crux of the problem. Our insatiable desire to have, hold, maintain, keep, possess. I lost my place. In addition, the doctrine of the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment of life arises from the concept of the three realms of existence. The three realms of existence are as follows. So there's a lot of discourse of taking apart the tenets of these teachings. And another reason to include this teaching by Nichiren in this book, because he covers so many of the salient points that the 3,000 realms are about. It's not so much talking about consecration of images anymore. That was his way in to elevate Shijo Kingo's thinking, right? The three realms of existence are as follows. First, the realm of living beings. Second, the realm of the five components. The third, the realm of the environment. Let us set aside the first two for now. The third, the realm of the environment, refers to the realm of plants and trees and so on and so forth. And the realm of plants and trees includes those plants and trees from which are produced the 5 shades of pigment used in a painting. How clever. From this pigment, painted images are created, and from the trees, wooden statues are made. And the paper that you paint on, and so on and so forth. He's taking apart the idea of the image as the consecrated object. And he's saying, okay, look at the effort, the commitment, the desire, if you will, for an enlightened mind that is motivating you and that you're putting to task in making this whatever. That's what you should be considering in your eye-opening ceremony. It's your commitment, your resolve to do something, take action. The image or statue will be a placeholder for that, like the trophy from your football career or the ribbon from your, whatever. It's still a fallacy. But Nichiren's using that fallacy to try to open Shijo Kingo's mind to understand what's really going on. Not the person, but the law. Look over here, right? It is the power of the Lotus Sutra, the Myoho Renge Kyo, that can infuse such paintings and statues with the heart and mind, the samsaric being, or spiritual property, that emergent mind, right? This was the realization of the great teacher Tendai. In the case of living beings, this doctrine is known as attaining Buddhahood in one's present form. So it's not unrelated to the fact that we are physical beings, but the freight train of karma isn't this physical being. This physical being is a precipitated instantiation of those energies. When we enlighten and awaken and we open our eyes to Buddha-ness, we attain our Gohonzon. That's not in here. It's not in our bodies. That's why there's 3 bodies. We identify this as necessary, but Buddhahood isn't in here. It's in our modem, our momentum, our motivation, our movement, our energetic instantiation from potential. And when we realize that that's moment to moment what is happening, that's the Dharma, that's the engine of life, all the other thinking, it subsides. In the case of living beings, the doctrine known as attaining Buddhahood in one's present form, in the case of painted in wooden images, it is known as the enlightenment of plants and trees. This is why the great teacher Chang'an wrote, quote, "There has never been anything to compare to the brightness and serenity of concentration and insight," end quote, referring to Tendai's writing on the great concentration and insight, right? And why the great teacher Miao Lo stated, quote, "They are nevertheless shocked and harbor doubts when they hear for the first time the doctrine that insentient beings possess the Buddha nature." Now, don't misunderstand that. That statement rises a lot in English translations. But it doesn't mean that a rock can attain Buddhahood. No. Or a tree can attain Buddhahood. No. It is our perception of what a rock is, what a tree is, with our mind, our Buddha mind, of understanding moment to moment to moment to moment to moment, that tree and that rock, that fish, that chair, in the scope, in the understanding, in the perception of the engine of life, momentum of karma, is performing the exact same process as this body from which emerges the mind. Moment to moment, instantiating from potential. The potential of a rock is quite limited. A rock can't do much about itself. It doesn't even perceive itself. But the Buddha-ness of the rock is our understanding of that limitation, and therefore, reflexively, our understanding of how profound our understanding, such as it is, that's what the opening of the eye is, oh, my process of being is much more immense than I ever gave this body credit for, my family credit for, my nation credit, this planet credit, this galaxy credit for. There's so much happening in each and every moment Wow, what a precious opportunity to just know this, to really perceive this. Buddhahood. Wow. Takes your breath away. This doctrine of the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment of life was never heard of in the ages before the great teacher Tendai, nor was it known in the ages that followed. And even if it did appear, one may be certain that it had been stolen from him. Right? Like these bad teachers that took that concept and made something else of it for their own personal gains. Yeah. However, some 200 years after the time of Tendai, Shan Wu Wei, Qin Kang Chi, and Pu Kung founded the so-called True Word School on the basis of the Mahavajracana Sutra. And then, although there is no mention of it anywhere in such doctrine as the Mahavajracana Sutra, as the Buddha expounded it, they stole the doctrine of the 3,000 realms in a single thought moment of life from the Lotus Sutra and Tendai's commentary, and proceeded to make it the heart and core of the True Word School. They gave themselves credibility and credentials, is the word I was trying to say, that they did not achieve on their own. So, interesting, all of this stuff is coming up on the basis of Shijo Kingo's request to know how he can use this thing that he spent a great deal of his time and effort making in order to help him and his family honor, pay homage to, and accomplish his enlightenment. Obviously with Nichiren's doctrine, but Nichiren is saying, don't do this for me. Understand what this represents in the scope of Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Right? When you chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo to this statue, image, whatever, understand that it ain't about the statue, the image. That's just an encapsulation of your samsaric desire. But as you know, and I have to say this before we close, later in Nichiren's teachings, it does away with that entirely. Because the problem is, and it is a problem, if you sit your football trophy or your great uncle so-and-so or a picture of some guy on the same wall, in the same visual context as your Butsudan with your mandala in it, you're putting roadblocks in your practice. You're anchoring yourself to the past, to the samsara, the very things that you need to be letting go. So yeah, not appropriate, not anymore. We now have a replacement for that. Thank you, Nichiren. He recognized we had to have something, and if it was going to be something, it had better be Myoho Renge Kyo. That's the whole reason for this mandala, and the reason we respectfully protect it, enshrine it. To remind our samsaric mind that we're not here for the Butsudan or the mandala, we're here for the Gohanzan, Buddha-ness, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Right? All right, we'll continue in the next one. Trying to keep these videos a little shorter for you. Let me know how if you're enjoying that, if that works better for you. In the meantime, take care of your health. Please be as secure as you can. I know the world is a frightening place right now, but find your own chant, find your own security, keep your health, Otherwise, the rest of it becomes so much harder. I so deeply appreciate your practice. Thank you. Like, subscribe, go to the bookstore, get the ebook. Much easier, quicker. This isn't so big, so it should be easy to read in whatever you use to read your digital text. And I will see you in the next one, yeah? Namo Myoho. Take care of yourself.